Okay, we're live now. So, hello everybody. We're here with Kevin McNab today. First of all, thank you very much for joining our live today, Kevin. How are you feeling?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Okay, so we wanted to start really quick about your last eventing championship you took part in. So we know you've been to Rover Kentucky 3-day event, and you had an excellent sixth position with Scuderia 1918 Don Quidam. And first of all, we really wanted to congratulate you on this really great result. And it was the first 5-star competition of the season, and the first one out of 6 this year. Can you tell us something about this competition? How did it go?
Thank you. It was a fantastic competition. It's the first time that I've been over to Kentucky. Mm-hmm. It's something I've always wanted to do, and it fitted in with this year for preparation for Tokyo. The course designer there is also designing at Tokyo. So it was something that was going to be good to do. And also, like you say, it's the first 5-star for the year. And we're not really sure what's going to happen with the other 5 stars. I think it was good to go and to be able to do one that was running. And he was fantastic. He was really good all week. And I was really proud of how he went. And yeah, really exciting to see where he's going to go from there. I don't think that was him at his peak. There's still more to come.
So are you satisfied with the result you achieved?
Absolutely, yeah. He was great. I mean, he did a good test cross country. He was exceptional. He was onside the whole time, and then with the show jumping, it wasn't perfect, but he was good, and he pulled up really well, and he felt good. We made a little mistake, but that can happen. That's
of course. Maybe we'll see some of your competition in a while, but we know that the weather was not at its best in the first days, but did this affect your performance or that of your horse? What do you think about that?
No, I don't think so. It affected our comfort, but
okay.
that was about all. It was very strange to see snow. The day before we were actually riding in a t-shirt, and then the next morning we looked out the window and it was white. It was like Christmas.
Okay. In April.
Yes, it was really strange, but I mean it was fine. The ground was superb. It held up really well, okay. And it just made it a little cold.
Do you think it's difficult to handle bad weather in a competition?
I think it depends on what stage of the competition you're at, and also on your horse. Some horses are going to be more affected by the weather than others.
Okay.
And I mean, these days, most of the big events are on surfaces. You have dressage and you're show jumping on a surface. So it doesn't affect you as much with the ground in those phases. And I think the competition is still very fair. You may have a horse which, say, if it was snowing, it might not like the snow. But I think it's just sometimes you need to be lucky with the weather, and sometimes you're not. The cross country, I think it can be really influential if the ground doesn't hold up. But at Kentucky, the ground was great.
Okay. And what about Don Quidam? What do you think about him? Was he calm? Was he nervous? He traveled a lot to go to Kentucky.
Yeah, he actually really impressed me. He traveled really well, and when we arrived there, I thought, we'll just see how he goes. But during the week, his energy level was actually rising, and he was starting to freshen up. There's lots of green grass there, which he was going out for a pick a lot. And I think as we went, he actually freshened up during the week. And then, so for the dressage, he was a little bit excited. And then cross country, he was very settled. He was very professional, and I think that's by far our best round to date, cross country. He was very easy to ride. He was very fit and strong and very switched on, very focused.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. It was really a pleasure to see you competing in such high levels, and we'll be seeing competing at high levels very soon again in Tokyo this summer. How do you feel about that?
Well, I hope so. We'll see. That's still a way away, but I hope that we do get selected for Tokyo, but we're a little way from that yet, and there's a lot more to do between now and then.
But are you excited about it? I know it's a rhetorical question, but we really need to ask.
I would be very excited. Yes, absolutely.
How do you think one can prepare or be prepared for such a big event as the Olympics?
I think that rather than focusing just on the Olympics, if you focus on the things that you have to do in the lead up to the Olympics, then it leaves you in a good position to be able to go there and compete at your best.
Okay.
So along the way, the competitions that you do, they're all stepping stones, and hopefully they put you in a position to be selected, and then you've got some valuable information along the way, and you've learned more about the horses, and when you arrive there, then you can perform at your best.
Okay. We can list three different levels of preparation. We can name physical preparation, the relationship with your horse, which is just as important, and the emotional preparation too. So maybe we can start with your physical preparation. We wanted to ask you something about this.
Myself, physically?
Yes, yourself physically.
Okay. Well, I do now do a lot of Pilates. 2 or 3 times a week I do Pilates, and I
Nice.
find that very helpful, the stretching exercises and core strength. And then I try to have a balanced diet. I eat very well and try to maintain be physically very healthy.
Okay. But can you describe your normal day's training?
A normal day for me, we would start at 7 and ride until 12 or 1 o'clock, and that would be fairly full on. Then I would teach some lessons from 1 o'clock through until possibly 4, 5 o'clock. Then I would go and do a Pilates session, and then that's my day.
Okay. And you mentioned something about your diet, but do you just eat well, or do you follow a specific diet?
I don't know whether you would call it a specific diet. I mean, a normal day for me would be in the morning, I would have 2 poached eggs, spinach and avocado, and then at lunchtime I would have yogurt and 2 tubs of yogurt, and then in the evening I would have a healthy meal.
Okay. But no,
and then sometimes a little dessert.
okay, of course. So this is about your physical training, but what about your relationship with the horse? How do you build this?
I think that's something that it's developed over time, and certainly with Don, I'm getting to a point now. I think we have a really good relationship, and along the way, I think you have to make sure that you respect your horse, because in our sport, I think that it's important when you arrive at the 10th minute mark on cross country that your horse really wants to work for you, and when they're hurting the most, that's when you need them the most. So you need to be friends with them, and that takes time. But I think I'm pretty good friends with Don now.
Okay. So how important do you think it is to build a relationship on trust with your horse?
Well, I think if you want to be competitive at the top, it's extremely important. I don't think that there's many combinations these days that would win at top level unless they had a good relationship. And I think that most horses that do win at a top level have actually been in a relationship or a partnership with their rider for a period of time. There's not many catch rides these days that end up as a winning event, winning competition.
No, of course. And if you had to give some advice about eventing to someone who is less experienced than you, what the advice would be?
for me, what's always been really important is to develop a system, and there's lots of different systems, and so there's not one perfect system, but I think you have to find a system which you really believe in and stick to that. And once you're then established at a level that you're happy with, and if that level happens to be 5-star, and you can produce horses from nothing through to 5-star in the system that you have, I think then you can pick and choose from other systems to try and add to a system. But along the way, I think you have to stick to one thing.
Okay.
So you have a very, very solid foundation.
Of course. But what about your life? Your life as a rider must be very demanding, but do you have time to spend with your horse apart from riding them?
I guess we do all day. I mean, even in the afternoon, say if I'm teaching, I'm watching the horses there in the fields around where I'm working, and so I spend all day with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we can now say something about the emotional part of a competition and of your being a rider. So
Yeah.
can you tell us something about this? About how do you handle emotions when you are competing?
I think that you have to compartmentalize so that you try and keep competition separate from the rest of your life. Having it balanced is important, but when you're at a competition, I think you need to be able to focus on the competition and compartmentalize. Okay. Put everything else to one side and just be focused on the job.
But do you tend to be anxious during competitions?
I don't think that you would describe it as anxious. I think along the way, I've developed a system where I find that I get more focused. The bigger the competition, the more focused I am. So probably the less that I'll answer the phone and the less I'll talk to people. And as we get closer to the point, I just focus up on the job.
And speaking about your next events, are you planning to ride in other major events this year? Can you name some?
Yes. Yeah, so a best friend I'm hoping to take to, if possible, we're planning to go to Marbach next week. So we'll leave on Monday. And then we'll do Lamoulan with him as well, all being well. And then we'll see from there. And I think with Don Quidam, I'm not sure yet. Possibly we may go to Lamoulan and do the short there, the 4 short. If we need something else that the selectors want to see, but not too much. And we'll keep him fresh for Tokyo.
Okay, so we can't wait to see you.
It was actually really interesting doing a preparation for Kentucky with very little in the way of competition. And so my last major event with him was Pau at the end of last year. And at the beginning of this year, I was quite concerned going over that I hadn't done enough in my preparation. I hadn't done one major event. I did 3 very small events and then turned up at Kentucky, and I walked the course and I was like, oh, this is big. And this will be a challenge. But it worked really well and he performed really well. So I think that if I was to be selected for Tokyo, I would be happy to go in on the same preparation. So maybe 1 or 2 small events between now and then, and I would be happy for him to turn up and perform.
Of course, that would be wonderful. Now, why don't you tell us something about yourself? How did your career as a rider begin and your passion about riding?
I'm not sure. Apparently I asked my mum for a horse when I was 2, and she was silly enough to buy me one, and then it went from there. And I grew up in a place where there isn't much in the way of horse riding. There's showing and show jumping, a little bit of dressage. And then I actually read a magazine in Australia called The Horse Magazine, and I read what eventing was. And I decided that that's what I was going to do. And then I moved south and started eventing, and haven't sort of ever looked at anything else.
You actually learned about eventing in a magazine?
Yeah, in a magazine as a kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
As everybody knows, eventing includes 3 disciplines. What do you think about them? Is there one in particular that you prefer or one that you like less?
I actually like all disciplines. I prefer, if you were going to pick one, I think on a horse, whichever one it's particularly good at, that's more fun to do. So if you have a great dressage horse, it's fun to do the dressage. If you have a great show jumper, it's fun to do the show jumping. But I enjoy all three disciplines.
What do you think Don Quidam's enjoy the most?
I think he really likes the cross country.
Okay.
Yeah, he really enjoys it, and he's excited to go cross country, and he stays on board the whole way.
We read something about a journalist wrote about you and Don Quidam. If we manage to put it on the screen, she said that the Kentucky crown belongs to you and Don Quidam. What do you think about that?
Oh, apparently not on the day. It went to Ollie, but I would like to have had it.
Of course, but she was a really big compliment for you and Don Quidam. She said,
I think that
big things coming up for you.
Yeah, I hope so. I think if you looked at Don's performance, cross country, he was perfect. In the dressage, I think there's more to come, and it was still a good test, but it wasn't. I think what he can do is his best test, and then the show jumping, I think he can quite easily jump clear. So if we put it all together, I think there's a winning result.
So where do you think he needs to improve, Don Quidam?
I think with the dressage, it's just doing it more. Each time he goes out, he gets better. And I mean, his work in the lead up to Friday when he did his dressage was the best work that he's ever done. And then Friday he came out very, very fresh. And in the morning, Thursday afternoon, he was absolutely fantastic. And then in the morning, he was so fresh. I was like, oh, he's a bit excited. And so there were little things there. I needed to have him just a little bit more settled. But like I said earlier, he was on a rising energy plane, and I think that by Friday he was quite fresh.
Very nice.
And then with the show jumping, I mean, the time was really fast, and so it was a bit of a balance between jumping clear and making the time. And probably if we tweaked it a little bit, I had 2 seconds or 1 second up my sleeve. Maybe if I had used that, it would have been clear.
Of course. We wanted to ask you something about your riding career. I mean, were you presented with a chance to make the sport your profession immediately, or did you have to wait for this?
I don't actually ever remember doing anything else. I mean, I had other jobs, but I had to do some other jobs just to pay bills. But then I sold a couple of horses, and then my parents helped me out a little bit, and yeah, that's all I've ever done.
Okay.
So I guess I left school thinking I was going to do eventing professionally, and it's never been anything else that I've tried to do.
What about Scuderia 1918? We know you've been one of our first rider, and what does being a member of this team means to you?
I really believe in their philosophy, which is team always wins, and my best results have always been when I've had a great team, because I think there's so many aspects to this sport that you can't do everything yourself, and you need a good team around you. And they're a great team, so for me, it's a fantastic opportunity to work together.
Yes, we really believe it's important to let people know that you need a great team to be a great person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We really believe in excellence too. What do you think about this? What do you think about excellence?
I always believe in doing your best at everything, and aiming for perfection, for excellence, but not always expecting it, because you can't always be perfect. But if you train to be perfect every day and you aim for that, sometimes it is perfect, and that's fantastic. But I think it's an unrealistic expectation with horses to be perfect every time, because they also have emotions, and they have their own thoughts, and it takes a long time to develop a partnership. So along the way, we always aim for perfection and excellence, and then hopefully, when it all comes together, we are.
Of course. But what about failure? Because when you compete, you have to deal with failure too.
I think failure is an opportunity to learn. Okay. I don't look at it as failure. I think that along the way, when you have little mistakes or things happen, I think there are opportunities to learn.
It must be like this, because otherwise you cannot aim to perfection without failing sometimes. So
exactly, yeah.
Sooner or later, we're all gonna fail. We just need to face it the right way. You seem to be very self-critical.
Yeah, I think I am self-critical. I'm optimistic about most things, but at the same time, I'm self-critical. I think it's a good way to learn. It keeps it all realistic.
And what about the world of eventing? What qualities do you think you need to have to be part of this world?
I think you need to be resilient, because there's a lot of lows along the way, which makes the highs so much better. But there are a lot of lows, so you need to be able to deal with that. You need to be able to be very focused, and you need to love the sport.
Okay, we've been talking for a while now, so why don't you take us for a tour around the stable?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll just see if I can turn this around.
Okay.
And we'll go down to we're actually out at the moment.
Okay.
We're doing some training, but I'll take you down and show you our best friend.
Okay. How's the weather outside today?
You can see.
No, okay.
It's a little bit cold, but it's not raining, so it's good. It's not as cold as what it was in Kentucky.
Okay. Oh, was it cold in Kentucky?
Okay. Yeah, well, just when it snowed, it was freezing.
Okay.
Where is he? Oh, here he is.
Wow.
Here's Harry, our best friend, coming to say hello.
Hi. Hi.
Hey, Harry. Yeah, we're away for a couple of days now, training, and then turn that around.
Okay. So the other ones are outside.
Okay. Sorry?
The other ones are outside training actually right now.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so we're away for a couple of days, and then we have a small event, Cirencester, and then we head over to Marbach on Monday or Tuesday, hopefully.
We were wondering, how did Don Quidam travel to Kentucky? He flew by plane.
Yeah, so it was an easy trip this time. They went from Stansted to Indianapolis. So Stansted from our yard is only 2 hours. Across to Indianapolis, and then they do quarantine there, and then travel, I think it was 4-ish hours from there down to Kentucky Park. So it's actually, quite an easy trip for the horses.
Oh, so
and then just reverse.
Sorry? Do you think it was stressful for him to travel?
He's a good traveller, so I think that he was fine, and he pulled up really well this morning. He was out strolling around in his field, and he was really happy. So I think he handled the travelling really well.
And what about best friend? Can you tell us something about him?
He's a very different horse to Don. He's not as cheeky as Don. As his name, he's a best friend. He's very, very genuine. He's very talented. He's a good galloper, good jumper, and I'm getting to know him more now. He gave me some really nice things at Poe and a really good feeling. And I'm hoping that this year he'll do a couple of shorts along the way, and then that he could also be in contention for Tokyo. But he's a very different horse. He's a horse, he always likes to have company. He likes to have horses around him. It doesn't like to be on his own. Whereas Don, he's happy to be by himself or with other horses, and he's very cheeky. Harry always wants to have someone around him.
Oh, okay. And how is he like when he's competing?
Harry, he's workmanlike. He always does his best performances in the arena. So you can go through your dressage test with him 10 times, and his best one will be the one when you go in and you do your competition. So he's a real competitor in that way. He can be a little bit excited about cross country, but he's very genuine. He's very smart, and he reads fences really well. And show jumping, he's very, very careful. He's jumped a super clear round at Poe, and he's started this year jumping really well. So I hope that that continues.
Okay. We really are amazed by your stables. Can you show us something more apart from?
These are not my stables. This is a beautiful stables, but this is not home. This is where we're training at the moment.
Oh.
There's hold on, I'll show you around a little bit. It's a water treadmill here.
Oh.
Can you see that?
That's nice. You can see this every day.
I'm not IT savvy enough to turn this camera around, but there. And then I'll just show you a little bit outside. Sorry, there we go.
Okay.
There's the water treadmill, and then outside here you can. I don't know if you can see down in the distance. There's an arena down there. And then I'll show you back up. The other way. This is actually Chris Burton's stable that we're training at. It's a really beautiful setup. Yes. We're very lucky to be able to train out of here.
It's a really beautiful stable. It looks like a really beautiful stable.
Yeah, I'll just take you up and show you the arena.
That's the main arena, the one you're taking us to.
This is a dressage arena here, and then above that is a bigger arena, which is the show jumping arena. It's quite beautiful. And then if you look back, this is the office that I was sitting in before, and the stable block. So it's an amazing facility.
Yes, we can see. Okay. Okay, now we see that. So time now, but we really wanted to thank you for being with us today, and we really hope to be talking to you again very soon. And that's it.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We really hope to be speaking to you soon. Okay, so thank you for being with us today, and follow us to know about our next EquiTalk. Bye, Kevin.
Thank you very much. I hope to have some good results for you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.